Okay, so my name is Jen Boyce, and I was an agent here. I'm going to switch to this so that you guys could see my bio thing. So I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm Jen Boyce, and I was a talent agent in LA for 30 years. And now what I do is I give parents and actors the exact steps to take in order to be successful in show business. So, as you can imagine, over 30 years, I've worked with a lot of people. These are just a few of the people that I think you would recognize that I've worked with. Nick Robinson, um, Shailene Woodley, of course, Paul Rudd. I adore him. Ashton Sanders, Ross Lynch, Jessica Biel, Storm Reed, Jodie Sweetin, from when she was little all the way up to adult. So, I was there for it all. Um, and Cedric Joe, who was in Space Jam 2, which was pretty cool. I got to meet LeBron James, and he was a doll. So he was delightful. He was smaller than I thought he was going to be, which was interesting. So I'm here now to make your life easier. What I do with my clients when I work with them one-on-one is come up with a strategy and a plan of what you need to do in order to move your career forward. So I hold you accountable. I give you clear steps to take, which classes to be in, what your materials need to look like, helping you find an agent or a manager, or just answering all those questions that I'm sure you might have as being new coming into this industry, because it can be a little overwhelming. And there is a lot of people that talk with authority who don't always know what they're talking about. So I'm here to cut through all that noise and give you, a bottom line at industry professionals, answer to questions and tell you how it really works, and not just another parent who's been doing it for years, which I'm not saying that their advice isn't good. It's just not always applicable to you. There's also people in the industry who are jealous and don't want you to do well. So, so they don't always give the best advice. So today I thought I'm going to talk about two different topics. I'm going to talk about the first one, and then we'll break for commercials, questions. Sorry, I'm in the TV world. Then we'll break for questions, and then I will go into another topic, and then we'll have more questions. So feel free to jot down your questions, or you can drop them in the chat as well if you like. I mean, we're a small group, so I think we can really have like a great conversation today. So, all right, now, so let's start off with mastering the basics, the do's and don'ts for new actors. We can skip over my bio page. Okay, so we're going to talk about some of the key do's and don'ts so that you can start off on the right foot, and you're not going to end up wasting a whole bunch of time second guessing yourself, or, potentially making the wrong choices. I want to empower you so that feel like you have a clear, idea of what you need to do in order to be successful and move your career forward. So we're going to start out with some do's. So always embrace training, right? I mean, I know that sounds kind of obvious, but acting is a skill, right? It's just like playing an instrument, playing a competitive sport. It's a muscle, it needs to be worked. You don't, if you're going to play the cello, you don't take 6 months of classes and go, I got this. Right? It's something that you have to do on a regular basis, consistently. You have to stretch yourself. You have to, push yourself a little bit, especially in acting, right? To get to those places and really, see what you can do. Um, Also, it's important to sign up for legitimate classes, workshops, and coaching with good people. I always recommend that people work with acting coaches and teachers that are recognizable by agents and managers, because it just makes your path a little bit easier to see, oh, I really like them. They're a little bit green, But I see that they're studying with John D'Aquino, they're studying with Zach Barnett, they are studying with so-and-so, Margie Haber. Oh, they're studying with good people. So I might be more willing to take a chance on you because I see that you're studying with people that I know and respect. So that is really important. As human beings, we are always growing and changing. And even if you're already a working actor, working actors are still in acting class. They are still working with acting coaches. So you're never really done. But we're always evolving as people, right? So it's the same thing with acting, especially if you're a child actor and then you're starting to go into adulthood. There is that transition there, and you will need sometimes some more training and coaching to kind of find your place in that new age group or category. The same thing when you're an adult, right? You're a young adult, then you're a young mom, businesswoman, doctor, professional, then your grandma, so you're always growing and developing. So it's really important to be in class and training with good people. Staying organized. This is really, really important. And I know it's hard because there's a lot of moving parts, but it's great to keep track of your auditions and the roles that you're auditioning for. Creating like a spreadsheet or something like that, a journal that you want to keep, um, can be really helpful because you think, oh my God, I'm going to remember these, but you may not. And it's nice to go back and look and see, when were your busy times? Are you getting callbacks? What kind of roles are you getting called in for? What kind of projects are you getting called in for? Is it all commercials? Is it some theater? Is it film? Is it TV? Is it all comedy stuff? So it's important to kind of keep that perspective to see what's going on in your career. Because I will tell you from the agent standpoint, I would get calls from clients and be like, I haven't had any auditions lately. And I'm like, yeah, because you booked out for a month and now it's Christmas time. So there's nothing going on. And I'm like, oh, that's right. I forgot. So, it's a good idea to keep track of all that stuff because listen, we're busy, right? We got a lot of stuff going on in our heads and sometimes you forget about stuff and that's okay. But it's great to keep track of things. Really important to keep your headshots, your resume, and your demo reels updated and ready to go. Those are your calling cards, okay? You never want an agent to have to start off their pitch with, I know their pictures suck, but they're great, right? Trust me, they're amazing, but their pictures are terrible. I've had to do that in the past. I don't like starting my pitches off that way. I want my clients to look like they are can do, on top of it. What do you need? Because those are the actors that work, the ones that are like that. And most of the clients that I've had that have been like that, one in particular, Henry, one of my clients, Henry Jetman, he created more work for himself because he was so organized, so easy to work with. He was like, whatever you need, sure, I can do that, no problem. Oh, we're staying late, no problem. He was great. And he would have producers and directors call him up and say, I'd like to use you in this next project, but it's non-union. And Henry would say, well, I'm union, I can't do it, but let me show you how to turn it union. And they would turn the project union for him. Now, that doesn't happen all the time, but that's just an example of being that type of actor. People are willing to, do things for you that they may not do for other actors. So, and this business is competitive. There are at least 3 to 5,000 other actors that are being submitted for the same roles that you're going to be submitted for. So the way that you stand out from all those other people is being that type of person, also being a good actor. That doesn't hurt. But if casting loves you, directors love you, they're like, oh my God, I had them on set, they were a dream. It's a much easier, yeah, we're going to pick this kid or this actor or actress over these other people. And I will tell you also that directors and producers, if it's a longer project, they will say to casting, hey, we're going to be on set with this person for like 3, 4 weeks. Who's out of these people, who do you like the best? Who's the easiest? Who are we going to want to have on set? And they will be brutally honest. So if you're a pain in the ass, they will let them know that. Oh, this one, they're kind of a pain. They're great, but they're a pain. They're going to be difficult. This one's a breeze. I love this one, you know. So everybody's taking notes, guys. Also, making your audition prep a routine, right? Having your self-tape room set up, organized so that when you do get those opportunities, you can crank them out quickly. Meaning, if I heard this from John Rosenfeld, who's a great acting coach, he's got a great school here in LA. And you might want to follow him on Instagram because he posts a lot of really great tips for actors. And he posted something saying, when you get an audition, if you know this character, record it right away and send it in, even if you have 4 or 5 days to do it. Because what happens, especially in the self-tape world now, is that you guys sometimes get in your head, which is normal, right? You're not the only one. Let me just hide this. And so what happens is you overwork the material. You go, I didn't like that take. Let me do one. Now you're 40 takes in, right? It's no longer natural. It's just, ugh, it's overworked. So my rule, what I pass on to clients is you get 3 takes. That's it. And then you send in the one that you like the best so that you don't get overworked. Now, if it's a character, John says, like, if it's a character that's a little more in depth, it's harder to get to and you need time, work on it. But again, 3 takes and you send off the one that you like the best. Okay. Don't do 42 takes because I will tell you that that's never the one that's going to get picked. You're never going to get a call back off that. I mean, I don't want to say never because never know. Never say never. That's the old saying. So, but yeah. Okay, let's see here. Oops, I got to click down here. Okay. So don't forget the bigger picture, which I know is really hard. Acting isn't everything. Okay. You want to focus on being a well-rounded person, not just an actor, right? Develop hobbies, stay active in school if you're in school, have friendships, do other things. Okay. Don't just be an actor because I will tell you, nobody likes somebody who just acts. And I will tell you from experience that when I interviewed actors and I was like, hey, so tell me, like, what do you like to do? And they go, well, I love to act. I'm like, that's awesome. What else do you like to do? Well, I just act. I really like to break scenes down and read scripts and watch movies. And I'm like, oh, all right, I'm out. I'm not interested anymore. I want to get to know you. I want to connect with you. And the way that you're going to connect with other people is having common interests. You're going to connect with casting over certain things like, oh my gosh, I volunteer at the local dog shelter, right? Everybody loves dogs. Everybody loves animals. My old boss from the Savage Agency, she had she was a dog person. So anybody that had a dog, she instantly connected with, right? And she goes, "Oh, I really love them. Oh, and I love their dog, blah, blah, blah." Right? They connected over the dog. She ended up taking them on as a client because they were also a good actor, but they had that connection about animals and all of that stuff. So it's really important to be a well-rounded person, right? I'm sure you've met people in your life where you think, "Ugh, I can't spend another minute. It's like watching paint dry with this person." Or they only talk about this and I'm really over it. I don't want to hear about it anymore. So be a well-rounded person, be interesting. That will definitely help you. Embrace feedback. Okay. I love to say feedback is a gift. Feedback is a part of growth. It's not rejection, and you're going to get a lot of rejection in this industry. So it's something you're going to have to get used to. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. It's a part of growth. You're not going to grow if everybody just keeps telling you you're amazing, right? How are you going to grow from that? There's no notes, right? I don't know if any of you watch New Girl, but in that show, Nick writes a novel and finally writes this novel. And he asked for feedback and they were like, no notes. And it drove him insane. He's like, what do you mean, no notes? I got nothing to go on. I can't write anything else because I have no notes. So, notes are super helpful, right? You may be a little over the top. And that's like, okay, great. I need to bring it down a little bit. Do I need to switch up my acting coach because I'm not able to get to where I need to be for this type of audition, for the CSIs? If it's Disney or, something really comedic, then that's a little more over the top, right? A little more, there's like those comedy beats that you have to hit. And if you're not hitting them, you want to know, right? Otherwise, you're going to spend years wasting your time trying to figure it out on your own. So learn from every experience, every audition or meeting, whether it's good or bad, right? Nobody's going to be perfect. I always like to say, you're not doing brain surgery here, okay? And I always tell my clients, if it's your job, it's your job. Okay. When you audition, let's talk about old school, right? Where you'd all go to the same location to audition. You look around the room and you're like, oh, everybody kind of looks like me. We're all the same. You're all look the same. You all have the same sides. You're getting the same character description and notes, right? The only thing that's different is you and what you bring to the table. So it's really important for you as an actor to be in tune with who you are as a person, who you are as an actor, and the choices that you make in your scene. So don't worry about being like anyone else. Look at the scene, make strong choices, and follow it through. It may not be what casting or the director had in mind, but that's okay. If they say they're like, oh, wow, I didn't even see the character that way. I really like what she did with that one. And they may say to you, hey, I really like that, but could you try it again this way? And if they say that to you, don't think, oh my God, I've made a horrible mistake. I shouldn't have made that choice. A lot of times when you get redirect from a casting director or director, it's really a test to see if you can make an adjustment. Because I have been fooled before by an actor who has been coached perfectly to do this scene. Then I see them at a showcase and I think, oh my God, this person's great. I bring them in for a callback to my office. I give them something else to read and they're terrible. And then they do their scene and I'm like, great. I'm like, okay, let's try it again. Let's do it this way. And they can't make the change. And I go, oh, all right, this one needs work. They're not ready yet. So, embrace feedback. It's a gift. Don't freak out if somebody is giving you a redirect. It doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong. It just means that they want to see what else you can do with it. And sometimes they're also kind of playing with the character, right? They're like, let's do it this way. And then you do it that way and they go, oh, wait, you know what? You had it right the first time. Let's go back and do it that way again. It's just like they're still like trying to build this character too and figure it all out. So don't stress about feedback or rejection, right? It's not rejection. It's not now. It's maybe later. So don't take rejection personally. Not every role is meant for you, and that's okay. Okay. Directors and casting directors are looking for a very specific fit, and sometimes you're just not going to fit that. So you need to stay positive and you need to not give up. If you give up, like I like to say, the difference between a working actor and a not working actor is a working actor never gave up. Okay. They were like, okay, that's not my role. Perfect. And even sometimes you'll get an audition and you'll think, I am not this role. But what you do is you go in and you kill it and you give your best thing and they'll be like, wow, I really like that actress. She's not right for this, but man, I really liked her. So it's not this job wasn't for you, but you still went in and showed them, they were like, wow, I really like her. You're creating that relationship with casting where they go, ooh, she's good. I'm going to remember her. So the next time your agent submits you, they go, oh yeah, I really liked her. Yeah, I think this one's right for her. Let's bring her back in. Because it's really all about relationships and having those relationships with casting directors. So again, it's not personal, right? And if this is something that you want to do, don't let somebody else tell you you can't do it. Okay. There is a great book, a series of books called the Badass books. There's the one, I think her name is Jen. I can never say her last name. Scenario, then I don't know. Anyways, just look up the Badass books. The yellow, they are it's a really great, they're sort of self-help, but it's the way that she comes at it is really conversational. And it kind of helps you put your mindset, your mind in a different place of thinking like, okay, this one wasn't mine. The next one will be mine. And having that mindset can change your entire experience in this industry. And I'm sure you've seen it too, like probably in your life where if you think, oh my God, everything happens to me, ugh, nothing ever goes right, well, with that mindset, of course, nothing goes right, nothing comes to you, nothing works out the way you want it to, right? But if you go into things with like more of a positive attitude, sorry, I got a tickle in my throat, and excitement and just wanting to experience things and being like, if this is my job, it's my job, you're going to go so much further. It's so important to have that mindset. So let me just take a quick drink of water. Okay. It's so early in the morning. I haven't really woken my voice up yet. It's not used to talking to this much, this early. Okay. Back to let's build some relationships, right? Networking matters. Again, I know I touched on this before. It's about relationships as much as it is about talent. You want to be polite, professional, and approachable on every set and every audition, regardless of how other people are being to you. Because listen, not everybody's going to be nice. There's a trickle down effect, right? Something happens up here with the client, they yell at the director yells at the producer, then they yell at this person, and then it comes down and everybody's in a mood. If you can just keep a good attitude and be like, this has nothing to do with me, I'm here to do a job, get in there, do your job, and get out. It will make a big difference, you know. So, and I will tell you, even like casting offices, waiting rooms, all of that stuff, I have gotten calls from casting directors that will say to me, hey, you can tell so and so to shut their mouth in my waiting room. And if they don't, I'm not going to call them in again. They're blathering on about stuff they don't know about, and I don't like it. And even sometimes my client might not have done something, but you did like one thing that irritated them, and they're going to let into me about it. So, um, and you may think, oh my God, I didn't even do anything. So it is what it is. Again, there's a lot of quirky personalities in this business. So, and you've got to get used to dealing with them. Um, you want to make meaningful connections, whether it's with casting directors or other actors, but make them genuine, you know. You don't want to try too hard because nobody wants to be around that person, right? You're like, ugh, oh God, here he comes. Pretend like you're doing something. Okay, don't burn bridges, right? You have to stay professional. Because this business is small and we all talk. So, no matter what, always try to leave a good impression, even if it's a no, thank them for their time, even if they're rude, because I don't think it's as much now as it was when I started in the industry. I mean, I used to have casting directors scream at me on the phone and then slam the phone down and then have their assistant call back and scream at me again because an actor wasn't going to make it to their audition. And I was like, something, I can't do anything about it. His car got booted. the life of young actors who don't pay their parking tickets and then get booted. Their car gets a boot on it. So, if, especially like agent and manager wise, if I know, if you've submitted to me, I look you up. And if I see that you were with a friend of mine, I'm going to call and say, hey, did you know so-and-so submitting to me? No, I didn't know. Like, oh yeah. Or, oh yeah, I dropped them. They were a nightmare. Like, ugh, mom likes to drink a bottle of wine and then write a big long email about all our complaints. You can have her. So it's like, never mind, I don't want that one. So yeah. So do your best to always leave a good impression. Your reputation matters. And like I said, was saying with my client Henry, everywhere he went, he was like, cool, man, no problem, I can wait. Or if he had 4 auditions in a day and he would go up to the person running the session and say, hey man, I'm so sorry, but I've got a call back in Santa Monica I got to get to. Is there any way you could maybe work me in a little bit sooner? Oh yeah, Henry, no problem, don't worry about it. And then another actor would be like, I got somewhere to go. And they're like, yeah, we'll get to you. Because Henry was always like, if you can't get me in, it's no problem, like just, easy going, whatever they wanted, needed, sure, no problem. And like I said, he got a lot of work from just also being a good actor, but just being that guy that they knew they could rely on, they knew wasn't going to be a problem, and he made it, he makes his living off of acting and being that guy. So your reputation does matter and it does follow you. So, yeah. And do stay patient. Success takes time. Okay. It does not happen overnight. There, of course, are those things where it seems like it's overnight, but a lot of times what you don't see is that this actor's been at it for 4 years and then they just got lucky and booked this series that turned out to be a hit, right? Or they could have booked 2 other series before that that were duds. But you didn't see that, right? So they don't happen overnight. And a lot of times what you think a career looks like is it's like, you're building this way, but actually an acting career can look like this. It's up and down. We just don't see that when we're, fans looking in. You need to keep auditioning, you need to keep training, you need to keep growing. You have to be proactive in your career, okay? You cannot go, well, I've got an agent, I'm done. No, not these days, okay? Those days are gone. You have to stay proactive. You have to network with people. You should be doing theater. You should be inviting casting directors to theater, a show, agents to a show if you're looking for an agent. Are you creating content? You don't have to if that's not your jam, but if you're kind of into it and, start creating some content. One of my clients, Alfonso McCulley, got an amazing manager because he was doing these YouTube videos called Merman, where he was a black mermaid man and he worked in a fish taco place. It's ridiculous, right? It's so hilarious. But this is back when everybody had interns scrolling through YouTube looking for funny people or anybody with potential. And they found him, signed him, and he went on, he did a lot of movies. He booked Fat Albert twice because they fired the director once. He's done a whole bunch of movies. And of course I can't remember them right now, but and he worked a ton commercially. And he had a couple of series, and he was also that actor that was like, cool, man, what do you need? You got it, no problem. He was always up, always ready to go, and directors loved him. He had 2 series he was working on at the same time when that never happened. It used to be if you were on a network series, you weren't allowed to do a series anywhere else. And he was on a network series and a cable series, a BET series and a Fox series with Christian Slater. I can't remember the name of it now. It only went for like 2 or 3 seasons, but they were like, okay, you can have him these days, you can have him these days. That never happens. But he was such a great guy, and directors loved him that they bent over backwards for him. So, yeah, success takes time, and you have to enjoy the journey. You have to celebrate these small wins along the way. Otherwise, you're never going to get there, right? If you just think about all the negative again, then you're just, you're thinking about all the positive stuff, you're more open. So, so have fun. You know, your job as an actor is to audition. So if you don't love to audition, this is not the business for you. I used to hear from actors that would say, oh yeah, I go on these auditions and they're like, ugh, I have to go drive to this audition after this, and they're all bummed out about it. Yeah, it sucks to have to drive all over LA, but that's your job, you know? And my clients who are like, cool, man, I got 5 auditions today. I got 5 different outfits I'm wearing. I got to go to 5 different locations, and I'm stoked because that's my job. Those are the ones that work, right? So just keep that in mind. So just remember, your acting journey starts here. I want you to feel more confident, stay positive, stay humble, and never stop learning, right? If we stop learning, then we just like are stunted. We want to be in a growth mindset. So, okay, great. Let's stop sharing our screen. Oh, wait, stop share. Okay, so questions, and feel free to just unmute. I mean, I don't know if you put them in the chat, that's great, but you guys can just unmute because it's, I'm so sorry, I'm froggy. Let's see, John Rosenfeld. Let me look at his Instagram real quick. It might just be John Rosenfeld, but I will see here. John. I think, oh, it's John Rosenfeld Studios. Okay. Let me put that in there real quick. I'll put that in the chat. Oh, why won't it go through? Who can see? Sorry, it's only to everyone in the meeting. Sorry, I was sending it to next. I'm sending it to Jeremy, who's not here. So, he posted something else too, which I thought was super powerful, was about, you know, if you're working up, if you have a scene that's really emotional and you're working up your tears, right? You've already lost me. Because when you're natural and you're in the moment, you're not trying to cry, you're trying to not cry. So, and this always, let me just let somebody in. Okay. And so when I would see actors at showcases, or they would come into my office and meet with me, they would, you know, and I could see like they wanted to do an emotional scene. They were like, this is, you know, like if I'm a good actor, I have to cry, I have to be emotional. And then, but they couldn't get there. And then I was always like, ugh, why are they doing this? You know, like, you're not going to get there. I'm out. I'm not, you know, like, I'm already passing on you. So just keep that in mind, like when you're picking materials to audition with for an agent, for a manager, make sure that you pick something that's going to showcase where you're at. You don't have to cry, right? There's a lot of comedy stuff out there, and it's fine if you can't do it. Because if you show me what you can do and you're really good at it, I'm likely gonna sign you. If you show me something that you can't do, I'm gonna pass on you, right? Why would I take someone on that isn't ready for me? So I was just working with a client, And the feedback I got from a manager was, he's got a great look, but he's not ready for me. He's too green. So, then with that feedback, it's like, okay, let's get him back into class. Let's switch up. If he's in class, let's switch that up. And then we can try again with them in 3 to 6 months, if you are really working intently on getting better at it. So, does anybody have any questions?
I do.
Okay. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Jen. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I'm a little froggy myself too, so sorry about that.
No.
Um, I do have a question though, just about I live in Calgary, Alberta, and the movie scene has really and like TV scene has really like picked up around Calgary.
Mhm.
And so I've done like some background acting, just, being a background actor and stuff like that. But I really want to get into like commercials or things like that, even like commercials where I don't need to like speak, but I'm more of like a main focus in that commercial.
Mhm.
How do you think I could go about that? Because again, in Calgary, there's not really too much of like the commercial scene. It's more of like the movie scene that's happening right now.
Right. Well, I think the important thing, I think the goal for you should be to get an agent up in Calgary. And so once you can get an agent up there, then they're going to submit you on either TV projects or commercials, because there's got to be some local commercials and stuff for Canada only
Yeah.
that are shot up there. I mean, I don't know the industry that well, but I know, there's got to be some up there.
Mhm.
So I would really look at trying to get a local agent and getting started that way. That way, then you also have that guidance of, hey, here's the acting classes that we recommend, um, the coaches that we want you to work with. You can certainly work with LA coaches too. Um, on the adult side of things, let me just pull up my if you'd like, I'll put in a couple of I have to find my list of acting classes. I have all my preferred lists. So, let me put in a couple of I'm going to put in some really great adult actor classes that are in LA. I'm sure they have some that are online and virtual because of COVID, which is great because now you don't necessarily have to be here all the time. Let me drop those into the chat for you.
Oh, amazing. Thank you.
I have some that I think are more for kids, and so my resources range all the way through. I do have more, but I don't like to give like an entire list out. I like to kind of hand pick for my clients, because if I just give you a great big long list, then it's just like I could have just Googled that, like I
Yeah.
really so you can check those out. There's a great commercial class, but it's here in LA. Is anybody in LA or comes to LA or in the US? Okay, then I won't worry about it because that one's only in person. So let's see. Oh, you travel? Okay. So there's a great one called the commercial class. I'll drop that in there. Um, it's done, so it's called the commercial class. Ross Lacey and Allison Horn are two of the busiest commercial casting directors in LA. And they don't teach the class, but they come to the last one and they watch your tapes and then they talk to you about what they look for. And I think that it's such a great leg up for actors, because who better to know what their clients want to see than the actual casting director, right? So I really love that commercial workshop. It's usually like 4 Saturdays or 4 Thursday nights. And I think it's like 3 hours. Each class is 3 hours. It's a great class. Um, so that one is really great for commercials. Um, so yeah, so I mean, I would look into those acting classes if you're interested. And like I said, when I work with clients one-on-one, I get into like what your goals are, where you're at acting wise. I have you send me a self-tape, your headshots, your resume, look at everything, and then kind of give you, my feedback of like, I think you need to switch up your acting class. Your acting's not quite strong enough yet. Let's build it up before you submit to an agent. When you do submit to an agent, this is what it should look like. This is what your cover letter should look like. I want you to have a really good scene together, all of these things. So we kind of work together to get that so that your package when you submit to an agent looks really professional. Although you guys are doing next, so I don't know if you're doing the showcase or not. I mean, that's a great opportunity too, to be in front of them. But I think also having that knowledge before you go to the event of how to show up as like that can-do client can be super beneficial. Because I can tell you from years of doing events, like next, all of the actors are there and they're bright-eyed and they're excited, but they have no idea what they're doing. And as the business has changed, agents are super busy. We don't have the same time to handhold and walk you through things. Like, I need somebody that I can take on, ready to go. Let's hope you start booking. It's also one of the reasons why I'm not an agent anymore. I loved being an agent, but the industry's changed so much. It's become such a volume business, that I wasn't enjoying it as much. I love working with parents and actors and just trying to help them navigate things, and being a part of that journey with them versus, just grinding away, submit, pitch. Um, it was just not as much fun, which is why I do what I do now. So, so yeah, so it can be super beneficial because if you show up and you're like, oh, here's my resume, it's all done, it looks professional, you've got great shots, you have a great scene together. You're like, yeah, I've been studying with these people. It's a way easier yes to work with you than like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to put a lot of work into this one. Do I have the time to work and to put that work in? Because just like to put things in perspective for you guys, agents make 10% of what you make, right? We don't get paid any other way. So if an agent is asking you for money up front, they are not a legit agent. I would love to have charged money. I feel like with some clients, I deserved money because they were a lot of work, but we don't make money unless you make money. So, and to put it in perspective, let's say you book a SAG commercial. Let's say the SAG rate, I don't know I think it's like $781 and some change for the shoot day, right? So I've been submitting and pitching you for a year. You finally book a commercial. I'm super excited. I'm over the moon. I'm like, yes, I will have made $78 for a year's worth of work. Okay, so we have to have a huge amount of clients to be able to make our bottom lines. And even though agents love what they do, every agent has a bottom line. You have to make money in order to stay at an agency. So it's a volume business now, and they just don't have that time to do that. So if you can show up like, what do you need? I already know what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to be the easiest client you ever had. What you tell me to do, I do. It's a much easier, like, hey, I really like this actor. I'm going to take a chance on them because they're not going to be a pain in my ass. So did that answer your question? I mean, I kind of went off on a bit of a tangent.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I do actually have one more question, kind of following my last question. Do you think, because I kind of wanted to get into more commercials and stuff like that because I feel like it might be like a little less acting and I don't have too much experience with that other than just the background acting, which I've
Yeah,
never had a role with that. It's either just
right.
me serving or I don't know, doing something where I don't have to speak. Is that correct where I should be going into commercials because it would kind of like further my acting, or should I kind of more so just continue the background acting and trying to get like maybe like one line here or one line there?
So my stance on extra work on background acting is it's fine to do a couple of times, but not a lot
Okay.
because just to like, I mean, it's great to do it a couple of times just to get a feel for what it's like to be on set, kind of see all the moving parts, all of that. But if you continue to do it, you get to be known as an extra actor.
Okay.
And if you like, if that's your goal, I mean, I don't know. I had a friend that was he just did he was in his 20s and he would did extra work. That's how he made money because he got like I mean, this was a long time ago. So he made like 150 bucks a day. And he's like, Jen, I get to eat free food. I get to hit on girls all day. And I get to sleep until they need me to stand somewhere or walk around. He's like, this is the best job in the world. And then he went on commercials because he was hoping to make, bigger money. But that was just because he was in his 20s and he just wanted to hang out with cute girls all day and eat free food. So I don't know. But my point is that you don't want to be known as an extra actor. The other thing to think about is that if you're working extra work on a TV show, chances are they are not going to have you back as a principal actor.
Yeah.
So then you've just kind of screwed yourself, right? Like if you were like, if it's on a movie, it's fine because, there's usually not, I mean, unless it's a Marvel movie and then you audition for one of the leads, that might be problematic, especially with the fandom the way it is now, right? Everybody's like, wait a minute, she was an extra in the cafeteria scene, like all that conspiracy stuff. Like people are just way too into it now, so you can't get away with it.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much.
I would say I would get in some really great acting classes and then try to find an agent commercially to get going and kind of build your resume a little bit. I mean, in the sense of, just getting work, making some money, growing your acting skills. Like, hopefully, you can book some stuff and get your career kind of going a little bit while you're building your acting skills up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Does anybody else have any questions or anything?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
I don't know if you can help me with this though, because I'm a model and would be pursuing acting a bit later on once I get like with agencies and everything.
Mhm.
See, before I have an agency interested in Toronto, and I just wanted to know, can you be signed by a local agency, and then when I go to the preview model runway, can I be signed by a second agency there as well?
Okay, so where are you located? Where do you live?
Canada, Montreal.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, good. That's helpful. I don't know how it works in Canada. Here, the way it works here in the US is you can have, and I feel like it might be the same in Canada, but I don't quote me on that, is that like you can have an agent for modeling and then you can have an agent for commercials. You can have an agent for
Mm,
TV and film, and you can have an agent for voiceover. So you can also have agents in different markets. So you
okay.
might have an agent in New York, you might have an agent in, Montreal. So, and that's okay. It can sometimes get a little bit muddy if they're both submitting on the same projects. So that sometimes can get, but that's, champagne problems. And that's something that you can, figure out when those issues come up. But yes, you could have an agent, in you might even be able to have one in Toronto. You might be able to have one in Montreal. I would
Mm,
the ACTRA website, which is the Union for Actors, that's a great resource up there. And they also, unfortunately, they don't have the agencies that are, I call them franchised here in the US, like SAG franchised agencies, because SAG is our union in the US. Um, they have like a list of all the agents that are, I'll say, legitimate. they have the same thing on the actor websites, but unfortunately it's like Montreal, Calgary, and Toronto. So you'd have to go to the different websites, but you can look up the agencies, and I would make sure that anyone that you're signing with is on one of those websites.
Okay.
And just to make sure, because there's a lot of people out there that look legit that are not. And I hate to see actors wasting time or money on the wrong agencies. I did a seminar at an event, and I was talking about how you're not supposed to pay an agent. And this woman
Yeah.
raised her hand and she said, "Oh, I've been paying my agent $200 a month for the
Wow.
last years, and I haven't gotten anything." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to tell you that, but you like that's not legit. Like you need to stop paying them." And she's, like, I'm sure, $200 a month is a lot of money
Mhm.
to be, and then over 2 years, that's, so yeah, so I like to always use the unions as a guide. I know not all the modeling agencies are always on there, but I think even like the Wilhelminas and like the well-known agencies are even on there, or if they're not, I would go with a name modeling company that you've heard of and do your research on them, because that poor girl has been sitting for 2 years thinking she had representation and paying for it. And she wasted 2 years, right? And 2 years is a long time. You can change categories, you can go from a teen to an adult. So, and I hate to see actors spinning their wheels, you know, because then sometimes you get really frustrated and then you give up. You're like,
Yeah.
nothing's happening. Something's wrong with me. Why doesn't it, why isn't it happening? And then we kind of go down that rabbit hole a little bit. Which is why I think those badass books are really super helpful. I mean, I've read them. The Badass at Making Money, Badass at Living Your Best Life. And it's just about talking about like, what do you want to do? And then having that mindset and not letting other people rain on your parade. Because there's always those people, right?
Mhm.
Oh, you're going to
So
be an
the
actor.
Yeah, classic. So the agency in Toronto is like legit. They're all like, I did my research and everything. And
Good.
I did ask, like, since I'm with Preview Models, that there's a possibility that I might get an opportunity to be signed by someone else that's more up there. He did say that it's possible for me to sign with someone else, but then I looked at the contract and it says not allowed to be with any other modeling entity. I don't know
Mm,
if that might mean like locally you can't be with another agency in Toronto, but I'm kind of scared that it'll hinder my
right.
like my possibility to like, since it's so vague a little bit.
Well, sometimes I know, and again, like modeling is not my total
Yeah.
forte here. But I do have an old acting client who's now a photographer and a friend of mine who's been in the modeling world for 20 plus years. And she told me that sometimes you'll have a mother agency and then
Yeah.
you'll have another agent. So maybe they're talking about like they'll be your mother agency.
Yeah.
How long is the contract for?
A year.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fine because you know what? You'll know in a year if it's not working, then you just switch
Mhm.
agents, you
Yeah.
know? And if you come to them and you say, "Hey, Wilhelmina wants to sign me," and they say no because of this contract, then you tell Wilhelmina, "Listen, I only have 3 months left on my contract. They won't let
Mhm.
me out." There may be an out clause in your contract as well. I don't know. Again, I'm not familiar with the modeling contracts as well as the like SAG contracts here in the US, but there may be an out clause, or you just say, you know what, can I call you in 3 months? Because my contract's
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
So as long as, and yeah, because a year, I think it's fair to give an agents will typically sign you for a year to a year and a half. And I think that's fair just because it's going to take a little while for you guys to gel and kind of get all your materials together, start submitting you, seeing if we can get some traction. So
All right. Thank you.
you're welcome. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, so where did my other thing go? Hang on one second. Oh, here we go. Let me escape from that. All right, so let me see. I'm just trying to decide what I want to talk about. Let's see. Okay, let's talk about, let me share my screen again. Present. Okay. So let's just talk about like quick tips for agency meetings when you guys go to meet with an agency or on a Zoom meeting per se. So what do they want to see? So basically, agents are looking to make a connection with you, right? We're looking to connect on some level, like, oh my God, you love dogs, I love dogs, or oh my gosh, I lived in Europe for a year too, or I have family in Australia, right? You're just looking to kind of create, it's like dating a little bit, right? You want to find that common ground, that connection. And I want to see that you have good energy, right? And that you're confident. I don't want you to be like cocky, but I want you to be confident, and have really great energy because, right, who doesn't want to be around somebody who's like fun to be around? So they want a bit of believability in your performance. Now, when you guys are starting out, like I'm not looking for an Oscar award-winning performance, okay? But I want to see that you've connected with the character a bit. You've thought about the character. I don't want you, a lot of times I see with new actors is they are just regurgitating the words. They're not connected with it. They're not thinking about it. Like doing that character breakdown kind of thing. Where are you? Who are you talking to? What's the point of the scene? All of that. So I want you to be real. I want you to be authentic. I want to see that you've put some work into it, right? Because anybody can regurgitate words, right? We all can read. So I want to see that you've put some thought into this, right? Because this is going to show me what you're going to show to casting. It's going to show me also, what kind of client are you going to be a little bit, right? If you didn't put the work in now, you're certainly not going to put it in after you sign with me, you know. So I want to see if you can listen and take direction. And this goes back to what I was talking about before, right? About making a really strong choice, but not being, not freaking out when I say, hey, I love that. Hey, could you do it this time a little bit different? Like, oh, I'd like you to do it a little more anxious, or can you do it a little more upbeat? Right? I never go to that place of like, oh my God, I know I made the wrong choice, right? There's not one way to do it. So I just want to test you a little bit. Are you really good at doing the scene only one way? Because a lot of times that's what happens. The sign of a good actor is that you can do nuances of differences. You say, oh, more comedic, no problem. Yeah. Oh, you need it more emotional? Okay, cool. Just give me 2 seconds. Let me just kind of wrap my head around that. Okay, I'm ready to go. And sometimes, they'll say, hey, go out and then work on this and then come back in. Agents aren't really going to do that. That's going to be more for auditioning, but don't freak out if I give you a redirect. Okay. I'm testing you to see that you can do it another way, that you're not just good at doing it one way. I want to see how you interview, right? Are you going to be really reserved, quiet, boring to talk to? I don't want that, right? That's not going to work for me. Now, if when you do your read, you are incredible, I can overlook that. But a lot of times the interview is part of the audition process, right? Again, I kind of want to connect with you. I want to see, are you interesting? Are you fun? What do I have to talk about? Because agents are basically salespeople, right? We're looking for something to talk about with a casting director about you to get you in the room, to get them interested, right? So if I get nothing from your interview, I got nothing to work with. Right. And, I'm not going to start my pitch off with they're super boring to talk to, but they're an amazing actor. Right. Nobody wants that pitch. So I want to see your personality, right? Who are you as a person? That's super important because again, that's what makes you different from every other, like makes me different from every other blonde with wavy hair, right? Is my quirky and odd personality that my daughter finds annoying sometimes. So, but she's 10, so everything I do is annoying. Are you chatty, right? This business is about networking. I want to see that you're comfortable talking to people. If you're uncomfortable talking to people, that can be a bit of a challenge. Again, if you give like an Academy Award winning performance, I can overlook it probably. But if you're not, I'm hoping that you're going to win them over by being a lovely actor, a fun person with a great personality, super outgoing, right? So the casting's like, oh my God, I love this person. Oh, they're not right for this role, but God, I just love them. You know, again, we're building relationships. So be chatty. I want to see, did you share any of your funny stories? And I'll tell you why this is important. And you know, I mean, we all have funny stories. Is because, like I said, agents are salespeople, right? We are looking for something to talk about. So I had this little girl who, back in the day when people would come into LA for like 3 months at a time, they were from New Orleans. She was a 6-year-old Black girl. She was adorable. Hadn't done anything, right? Brand new. She came in to say hi. Hey, we're in LA. And I said, how was your flight? Because it was the first time that she'd flown on a plane. She was like, it was so much fun. I had a great time. And I said, oh, that's cool. Are you excited to be here? And she's like, yes. She goes, but I had to bring my babies with me. And I was like, your babies? She goes, yeah, my plants. My plants are my babies. And I looked at her mom, and her mom was like, yeah, I had to bring 6 baby plants on the plane with me. And I was like, oh my God, that's adorable. And I use that story with every casting director, and every casting director was like, oh my God, I love that. I want to see her. Right. It has nothing to do with her acting, but it was about her personality. It was like this adorable story. Right. So things like that. Or I had a client once who went to, I made him go to Mexico for a callback for a Heineken commercial. He was an adult. He hates to fly, but I made him get on the plane anyways. Because I was like, dude, you're going to make money. That's when you need the money. So, and you get to go to Mexico. Fun. It was not fun. The Mexican mafia stormed the set and like grabbed cameras and stuff like that and then held them for ransom. So, but that's a hilarious story. That's happened to nobody else in my life. But I use that story all the time to talk about him, right? And everybody was like, oh my God, no way. Could get him in anywhere, right? So think about these things. Like, do you have any interests and things that are interesting about you or funny stories about something, you know? Again, it's sort of like dating, right? When you meet somebody, you're like, oh my God, they're so funny, you know, and you connect on those things. And when an agent is able to connect with you, we will work a lot harder for you because we're like, I just love them so much. I just want them to work, right? That's what you want in an agent. Okay, I want to see, are you having fun, right? Or are you stressed out and nervous and like, yes, no, you know, no. Never give a one-word answer. Even when it's yes, expand on it, okay? Have fun with it. Again, think of it as a date. So, you know, just enjoy it and have a good time. Your goal should be to meet somebody and create, you know, and have fun. That's it, you know, and then if you get an agent, awesome. Don't get stuck in your head like, oh my God, I really need an agent. I really want this agent. You can feel that way, but enjoy the process. Have fun with it. And I'm also looking at to see, do you really want to do this? Especially with kids. Do you really want to do this, or is it your parent? Because this business is hard. And like I said in my last talk, there are at least 3 to 5,000 people submitted for every role. So you really have to want to do this. You really have to love to audition. You have to really want to put the work in, because the people that put the work in are the ones that work. The ones that don't put the work in don't work, right? Gone are the days where you're going to be sitting at the soda fountain, right? Like that's so old school. And a director's going to see you on a corner and be like, oh my God, I need you in my movie. That doesn't happen unless they're trying to pick you up. Okay, it's not going to happen. It's too easy to find talent now, and there's too many actors out there so to choose from. So you have to really want to do this because, like I was saying before, agents make 10% of what you make. So in order for me to make a living, I have to have a lot of clients and they have to work. And I have to spend my time on the phone pitching, getting you appointments, which means when I get you those appointments, you better be ready to go. You better make that audition. You better turn it in on time. I don't want a song and dance. I don't want you asking me for an extension. I don't want you making my life more difficult. Okay. If you are doing all those things, I am not interested. I don't have time for it. Back in the day, we could do a little bit more of that, but not now. There's no time. And the agent friends that I have a lot of times will send me their clients that are brand new and say, hey, I really love this client, but they have 1,000 questions and I just don't have time. And so I'll work with the client and I'll ask the agent, okay, what do you need me to work on with them? And whatever that might be. Or they're like, they have 1,000 questions and I just don't have time for it. You do not want your agent spending time 40 minutes on the phone with you explaining how to do something or talking you off the ledge or whatever it might be. You want your agent on the phone pitching you with casting, going to lunch with casting directors, keeping those relationships really good so that they're known as like, oh my God, I got to call Jen. She's got the best kids. She's so on top of it. I love working with her. She never lets anything fall between the cracks, and that's, part of what made me super successful was that I was really honest. And I always pitched clients that I was super passionate about. And I knew my clients. I didn't just throw everybody in there and then just hope that something stuck. So it's really important to make your agent's life easier, make their job easier, make them look good by the way that how professional you are, how you follow directions, all of the directions that you get in your self-tape, right? There's like 15 different things you have to do. We need a close-up, then we need a full body, then we need a side, then we need this, then we need that. When you do all those things, you make your agent look good, which in turn, they will get more appointment times. When you have clients that are like, oh, can I get an extension? No, you had 4 days. That's why when you get an audition, you should start working on it immediately because you don't know. Maybe something will happen. You get sick, right? Well, you weren't sick for the first 3 days, but you waited till the last minute. Don't wait till the last minute because again, 3,000 to 5,000 other actors that will take your spot in a heartbeat. So, okay. Sorry to get real like stern on that, but I got to tell you, these are pet peeves from my agent friends. They are like, these are the things that drive me insane. Also, here's another little tip before we go to Q&A. Do not ask your agent, what's your strategy for getting me out? What's your plan for my career? I can tell you what that is in the beginning. And that plan is I'm going to submit you, you're going to get auditions, and you're hopefully going to work. Okay. In the beginning, there is no strategy other than that, right? I can't say when you're going to book a job, right? We don't know. So, and again, that's sort of shows your naivete and it irritates agents to the core. Like, I want you to work. And I don't know how you're going to work and I don't know what you're going to book first, but we're going to try everything and then see where you start booking. And then we're going to hone in on that as your career grows, right? As you are developing, once you get your first big series, then there's a little more strategy that goes in that. What kind of next project are we going to do? That's when you're going to start to get into that strategy stuff. In the beginning, I'm hoping you're going to work. And I'm hoping you're not going to make my life miserable by being a pain in the ass client. So, all right. Anybody have any questions? Okay. No questions.
I have a question.
Okay.
So with that being said, you saying like don't ask what your strategy is to get me a job and stuff. Yeah,
Mhm.
I get that part. But is it okay, acceptable to ask, like, so if I sign with you, do you think that I'm going to be given like certain jobs or stuff like that?
I think it's okay to, because if an agent signs you, they think you're going to work, right? They want that. It's fine to say like, hey, what are you looking to represent me for? Right?
Okay.
Are you looking to represent me for commercials, print, TV, film, voiceover? It's definitely okay to say that for sure. And I think the way to show up as like a great client or an easy client is like, what can I do to make your life easier? What do you need from me? How can I support you? Because this is something that I really want to do. And I know, and I don't know. So whatever you tell me you need from me, I'm happy to do, because I want to make your job easier. Because if you're that client and you come at me that way, you're like, okay, I'll take a chance on them. I just one of my clients, she's young, she's 11 or 12. Um, she's a competitive gymnast. She's like competed all over the world, but she lives here. Um, and she just got signed with an agent that and because they've been working with me, the reason that she got signed was because she was working with me and they are the epitome of a can-do family. I say, I think you need to take this commercial workshop. She's like, great, give me the number. Within a week, she signed up. I think we need to get these materials together. Great, no problem. Here's a Dropbox file. And so the agent said to me when I said, oh, I'm so excited you signed her. They're such a great family. They'll do whatever you ask them to do. And he said, thank you so much for sending her my way. He goes, honestly, I was on the fence because she's green and I was going to pass on her, but the family was so lovely. And I know she's worked with you, so I'm taking a chance on her. He's like, she's in a hard category, like there's not a lot of white 12-year-old girls that they're looking for.
Mm.
But because they worked with me and because the family was like, whatever you need, we'll do. Um, and he fell in love with the family. He was like, okay, I'll give it a go, you know. And I said, I totally appreciate that. I said, I agree with you. She is in a hard category. But I said, because they come from the gymnastics world, they have very realistic expectations of you don't like even the aunt who's handling things for her because the mom's super busy. She runs a gymnastics school. They're all Russian gymnasts. So Russian. So the aunt said to me, I saw these other kids, they're so much better than her. Like she's not that great. So she's like, I don't even know if we're ready for an agent. I said, well, let's start commercially, like she's got the energy and the smile for it. But they're very realistic and like, instead of like, oh my God, she walks on water. She's amazing. She just walks in the room and she does everything perfect. You're like, ugh, okay, this is gonna be hard. How am I going to tell her that her kid sucks? Like her kid is not good yet. And so yeah, so like those are the things that make a difference. But I think just coming at it is like in like that collaborative way of like, what can I do to support you? How can I help you? I'm new. I'm happy to follow your lead. I want to make your life easier. I want to do this. And so, whatever you tell me to do, I will do my best to do. Now, there may be times where they make a request and they're like, I need you to get new headshots. I want you to shoot with this photographer. And you're like, that's $1,000. Like, I don't have $1,000. Just if you say to them, you know what, I would love to do that for you, but I don't have the money right now. Do you have somebody who's more inexpensive, or can you give me a couple months so I can save the money up? Because I want to do it for you. I just don't have the cash. That's something that an agent can work with and can understand,
Mhm.
but if you just don't do it, then I think, well, and then it's like, well, why am I not going out? Well, because I told you I needed new headshots and I'm still waiting. So I also feel like too, like if you're doing everything that I'm asking you to do, then there can be more of that conversation of, hey, is there something else I can do? Because I noticed like I haven't been getting many auditions, or hey, I'm not getting any callbacks. Is there something else I should be doing? Should I get in another class? Like then you can have that sort of when I say conversation, it's not really a conversation, it's an email. And it'll probably be hit back with like a very short email. Never
Yeah.
write a novel because we won't read it. It's too much. I don't have time for it. So hit those bullet points. If you're like, just like I said, like, hey, I notice I haven't been getting a lot of callbacks. I'm a little concerned. Is there anything I should be doing? Or do you think I'm okay? Boom. That's it. If you communicate that way, it's clear and concise, and you're more likely to get a response. If you send a novel, well, my dog threw up, and then I think he ate my AirPod, and da da da, because I can hear this song playing out of his stomach, and then I had to do this. I'm like, I'm out. Like, I don't have time. And so you're not going to get a response. They're not going to read it. There used to be this casting director, and she would write literally this much for one character description for a commercial. I'm like, girl. And then, and it was funny because one of my agent friends, he was submitting on her things too. And then she was like, I need them to rollerblade. He's like, girl, I can't find it in here. Like, where did you say rollerblading? Because it's a novel and I've gone through the whole thing. It's like, why don't you just say, hey, I need an actor who's good at these things and can rollerblade? You would have gotten more of a concise thing, but you sent me a novel. I'd take the whole ride with you through the whole thing, and it's a 30-second commercial. It's not like a film. I don't know. Anyways, it always irritated me. And I was like, we're not doing a Scorsese film here. It's a Volkswagen commercial, you know. So, anyways, is that helpful to you?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, there's so much information that I want to share with you in this short amount of time. So, does anybody else have any other questions or anything? Or just want to chat about something? We got 5 minutes left. Let me see if I have any other. Because so yeah, so I reach out to my agent friends all the time and I'm like, so what's the crazy things you've heard lately? And one of my agent friends said that a client said, well, I'm not getting coached for the first audition. I'll get coached for this callback. And I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, you're not going to get a callback unless you got coached for the first one. And if you get a callback and you weren't coached, then you shouldn't be coached because they like what you did the first time. So, and the only time that you really need to get coached is if it's a big role. Is it a big guest star role? Is it, like for a movie or, a series regular role? You don't need to get coached for like the small 1 or 2 line co-star roles, right? You don't need to waste money on that. But when you're going in for a bigger role, even like supporting in a movie, or it's like a really important movie and you have more than a couple lines, I would get coached for it. And yes, it's expensive, but you know what? It's the price of doing business, unfortunately. No, not unfortunately. I mean, listen, if you're going to be a baseball pro, right, and you're playing on a competitive team, you're going to pay a pitching coach if you're a pitcher. You're going to pay a batting coach because you want to level up and you want to be the best. So acting is the same way. It doesn't always mean though that you have to pay for the most expensive teacher, the most expensive photographs. That is not the case. Like I had a client once and they were like, well, I'm going to shoot with this photographer because they shot Brad Pitt. And I was like, first of all, it's not even a headshot. You're going to pay like $1,500 for these photos. I'm sure they're going to be gorgeous. They're not going to be anything that I need, right? They're not going to be what I need because Brad Pitt doesn't even need a headshot. You just say, hey, I got Brad Pitt. They're like, great, I'll see him. Like you don't need to spend that kind of money. Normally, a lot of the photographers, well, not a lot of them, but I would say like for headshots, the photographers, they can range from $350 all the way up to $1,000. It just depends on who the photographer is, how fancy they are, and what their waiting list is like and how many looks you get. But here in California, you can get great headshots for $350, under 500, for sure. So, just keep that in mind, that you don't always, just because you're spending more money doesn't mean you always get a better product, right? It's like you can spend $60 on Goop, the Goop sunscreen, or you can go to Trader Joe's and get it for $7.99 and it's the same exact thing. I don't know, you guys probably don't know what Trader Joe's is, but it's a smaller store. It's sort of like Aldi, only better. Do you guys have Aldi's? I don't know what an Aldi is. Anyways, doesn't matter. But so yeah, so just because you spend more money doesn't mean it's better always. And sometimes having somebody like me, who's in the industry, can help you navigate and find the right people for you, because there's also not one agent that's right for everyone. So even though, and a lot of times I hear actors say, oh, well, they're a big agency just because they have a lot of clients that work. It's not necessarily that they're a big agency. Like obviously, yes, we have the CAAs. That's a big agency. I don't know, ICM isn't around anymore. I don't know what it's called now. But those are big agencies, but there are a lot of mid-sized agencies that people call big because they have a lot of clients that work. So don't always get caught up in like, oh, I feel like I might get lost. It's like, well, let's look at that. Maybe you're not, maybe you're not looking at it the right way. So yeah. Well, this has been a great session. I hope you guys got a lot out of it. You can scan that. Boop. That is my barcode. You can also just follow me on Instagram at the Hollywood Prep and follow me there. I'm going to be releasing some new products, some new ebooks. One is the audition checklist, which is going to talk about all the different types of auditioning and how to prepare for them. It is geared, there is a whole parent section for parents. It's mostly geared towards parents, but the information is basically the same. Just, because I do work with a lot of parents. I'm also releasing an actor's journey journal that is going to help you work on breaking down your characters. There's also, like, because as I'm sure you can tell, I'm super positive, and I feel like if you have the right mindset, you can do anything. So there's a whole section for gratitude and goals and, just like positive affirmation things, like when you go on an audition, saying to yourself, you know what, I deserve to be here. I've put the work in. I deserve to be here. Because I think when you start out, sometimes you can feel like, oh my God, what, I shouldn't be here. Like these people work. I've seen these people on TV. And and so I think it's really important to have that mindset and realize, hey, I put the work in. I deserve to be here. I got this appointment for a reason. They want to see me. Let me show them what I can do. So I'm going to be launching those, I think, in the next like week or two. So I'll post about it on my Instagram. You can also go to my website and there's stuff on there too. I'm also releasing a replay for of a workshop that I did with a casting director about what casting directors look for. Again, it's aimed towards parents, but all the information is the same basically. They talk about what this is a casting director who has worked on Netflix shows, Disney Channel, Nickelodeon. And he just talks about the casting process from the start to the end, what keeps casting directors looking at a tape, what their expectations are, which I think can be super helpful when you're starting out because you're trying to figure it out, right? And you're like, I don't know, is this right? Am I supposed to be doing it this way? So, and I'm going to be releasing that soon too. So yeah, but I really appreciate you guys. Feel free to reach out if you have questions or you want to work with me. And yeah, I wish you guys lots of luck.